Welcome. Now we got that out of the way, we don't need this. I'm going to show you how to install a RV furnace from Fogatti, 35,000 BTU. Let's dive in. Let's go over what's in the box. First, you have your installation and operation manual. You don't need that, you got me. You have your 35,000 BTU Fogatti. You have your exhaust, inlet and outlet. You have a cover. You have a thermostat. You have wiring nuts and screws. And then you have a few brackets to mount it down. Let's go over then how to deinstall my current one. All right, so now we're over here going to show you how to disassemble our heater. Now, each RV is going to be a little bit different, but this is how ours works. So first, we're going to take off the screws. Okay, you may want to keep this plate because it did not come with the box. So keep that in mind. Okay, now you want to make sure that the propane is turned off. Ours are empty and off, so we're good there. Okay, once that is off, you're going to have some more screws. Looks like 2 here. Over here on both sides. So that's what I'm going to take off now. All right, so now we're showing on the other side to try to get the ducting work off and to get the screw on the other side off. Okay, so now we're inside here and we're going to take the ductwork off. One of the most simplest things to do, it's just a twist. It comes right off. They got little clips right here that get shoved into these holes and it comes right off. So I'm going to do that. Now that we got all that off, now we got to reach around to the back and get to that other screw. Okay, so now that we've got the ductwork out, got all our screws out, this thing is free. Now all we have to do is come on the other side and clip all the power, and then we can pull this thing out. All right, one thing I've learned is it's always good to take pictures of your wiring before you start cutting, so that way when you go put your new one in, you kind of have a good idea of what wire goes with what. So you see here, this white and yellow wire is coming from my battery, which is what runs this. So we want to make sure that the yellow striped white wire is going with the red, and then our white is going to go with what is, I think, a black inside there. So let's go ahead and cut it. And then this wire is your communication wire to your thermostat, but we get a new thermostat with this one, so we're not going to need it, but we still got to cut it, get it out of our way. Now we have got rid of all of the screws, unplugged the gas. This thing should be ready to come out. Just like that. Now you can see in here, of course, you have your typical RV makers that don't clean up after the mess. We'll take care of that. And next, we'll show you how to install it. All right, so now we're inside because it's a little cold out there. And we're going to take apart the
Flashback.
First, you have your installation and operation manual. You don't need that. You got me. The intake and exhaust and put the new ones on. I just want to give a little shout out. The old one didn't have any rubber seal, looks like at all, but they have a nice rubber seal here to keep that exhaust from shooting out. So first, gotta take out the 6 screws. Before I cut the caulk, I'm gonna take these springs out to help keep the bugs away. Sorry about that. Definitely didn't have the right tool to do it. Anyhow, gonna take my knife, cut along the caulk area. Try not to obviously cut your board because you're gonna be using that. Well, it looks like mine came in 2 parts, so it looks like you didn't have to cut this caulk here. Well, let him learn. Okay, so now this is the old one, and we are going to put the new one on. You want to take up all the old gunk. Now that you get the gunk off, you're going to want to install this. In here like that. Same with this. Right here. And make sure that this, oh, that's all right. Forgive me. It goes in here like this. This one in here like that. And then you put your plate on over top and put your 6 screws back in. But, you know, the thing about measure twice, cut once, we're going to make sure that I have the correct inlet and exhaust going to this right one. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now I only need 3, so I gotta knock those guys out. Okay, now I got those out. We're gonna put it in. You're gonna want to tilt it in first because this guy's sticking up. It's a tight fit, but she'll go in. All right, make sure it's flush here. Some, okay, some of mine. All right, so ours fits like a glove, but some might be recessed in, so you have to put this mounting bracket in and drill the 2 screws right here, and then you can anchor it down at these 2 ends right here. So moving on, now that it fits in, you want to make sure ours sits on a board. I don't know if you can see that board in there, but that's where ours sits on. And you want to make sure that's nice and even on both sides. Okay. And then we're going to anchor it down here on both those ends. But before we do that, we're going to anchor the sides because that's the most difficult part. Okay. So now that we got this in here, I made sure that the heater was even on both sides, and for us, flush to the back. That made it flush to the front when I pulled it up. Now we're gonna put our anchors in. So it has a little screw right here. Take out that screw. It has a little L bracket. Put the screw in the L bracket. Nice and tight. And now we're gonna drill to the wood. Got a screw, our drill. Okay, now we're gonna pull it to the front. You can stay right there. Nice and flush to the front, flush to the back. All right, now we're gonna install our ductwork while we're back here. Okay, now they're not coming off. Oh, this one is. Let's get this one there. Okay, now they're on there. And if you wanted to make a more airtight seal, you can put that tape back on there you saw in the deinstall video. Okay, I'll meet you back outside and we'll get this thing screwed in. Okay, now we're going to secure the outside, which is going to be the 2 original holes that were on the old furnace, and then I'll show you how to secure the top as well. Which, if I recall, I don't think they had anything securing the top when we deinstalled. Okay, now they have this guy to secure the top. So the way this is, it's got a little hook. It's going to hook in these holes right here, and then you can secure the top. So we'll find a proper hole. There we go. And we'll drill a hole right here, secure it from the top. There we go. Okay, now we're going to work on the electrical. So this is the way that came with the unit. DC 12 volt negative, DC 12 volt positive. Pull our other cord around. There's a little hole here through. If you recall, when we took a picture, I believe we had the yellow stripe to the red line and the white stripe to the black line. All right, so now we're going to connect our wires, 12 volt positive to 12 volt positive, and then our negative lines right here. First, you gotta strip the wire. Take your wire nut. Give it a good twist. And then another twist right here like that. Make sure it's off. Same with this. Good connection. Check your wire nut. And we got a connection. Okay, and then this blue line is if you wanted to use the existing thermostat in your RV. We're not going to do that today because we want to use the one that came with it. So we're going to use these. So now we're going to dive in and talk about running the line, our thermostat, into our camper and to our heater. Okay, so we've ran our wire down the wall and out to our furnace. It's as simple as pulling. There's a little clip here, and you push the clip and it pulls it right out. So now we're going to mount it right here. Make sure we're level. Okay. Shove the wire in. This little seal. And then push it down. Should clip. Like so. And it's mounted. So now we're headed to the outside, finish wiring the outside up, and we'll turn it on. Okay, so now I've ran my wire from the wall inside to the furnace. You might see here that I did snip my original controller wire to the thermostat and spliced it to make it a little bit longer. The controller is only so long, so depending on where you want it, you might have to do that. But then it's simple as taking these, clipping them in, and then we're good to go. So now we have our power and our thermostat wire all cooked up. Now I'm gonna go on the inside and we're gonna hook up our propane. Okay, now we're on the inside. We're going to take the cap off, the protective cap. Get a propane hose in here. Sometimes you don't want, there we go. Move around the wires here. Put that on. Okay, once it's finger tight, with your adjustable wrench. Get that nice and snug. Okay, and then we're gonna get our propane hooked up and we'll test for leaks. All right, so now that I have it nice and tight, I have my propane on. I'm gonna check for any leaks. So I got a little bit of soapy water. I'm gonna lather it up all the way around. See if I see any air bubbles popping out. I do not, so clean it off. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to putting the outside panel back on so we can fire her up. All right, so now that we've ran our wire, I've tucked it away, everything's good to go. You wanna make sure that your switch is on before you put a cover on it, or you're gonna have to take it back off. All right, so let's grab our cover. Put that right on it, here like so. Get your screws in. Okay. Okay. All All right, so now we got the faceplate on. It's time to install these. For this one, I did have to trim out the corners here because it wasn't lining up with the screw holes. So these were probably designed for Fogatti's plate. So I had to do a little bit of adjustments. But now we're going to caulk along the outside to seal this up right here. All right, and then we'll put it on the plate bed. Okay, we'll move on to the other one. This will be a little bit easier. Okay, nice and sealed all the way around. Now we're gonna put their hot plate on. Should line up perfectly with our other screws, and it does. You don't want to tighten them all down until you get them all in there first, because just in case it needs some adjustments. Okay. Make sure that's all on there nice and tight. Okay, now got a little excess coming out the bottom here. Just wipe it. Now, if you do want a little cleaner look, you can buy Fogatti's cover. That way it wouldn't have the old markings from it. But in this case, this works great. Now, the only thing I gotta do here is still caulk the top, because I had cut earlier in the video that, not knowing that these were two different pieces here. So we're just gonna throw in a little bead of caulk here, and we'll do it down the sides, and we should be good out here. All right, let the rest just dry because I don't want to wipe it and smear it up. Otherwise, we're all done out here. So now we're gonna head inside and I'll show you how the controller works. Okay, now we're inside. Moment of truth. Fan kicks on. Flame shows that it's lit. See if we got some heat coming out here. So now that the furnace is warmed up, it was blowing, but very, very low. You couldn't hear the fan, but I'm sure you can probably hear the fan now. It's blowing pretty good right now. Okay, so it's on turbo mode, and then we can go over and switch it to heat, and then sleep. Now, I'm not quite sure if you can hear it, but I barely hear the motor at all. And then it ramps up during the day. Otherwise, we have some nice air kicking out of here, and it is hot. That's all I have for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.